A woman's voice, soft, scared, shaking. Then a shadow moved across the porch. A tall figure, face hidden under a hood, stood in front of the camera. The sound of thunder rolled as a person stepped closer to the door. The Ring doorbell caught it all, every word, every sound, every heartbeat of fear. Then there was a scream, a loud bang, and silence. The screen went black. Detective Claire Monroe stared at the video, frozen in her chair. The timestamp in the corner read 10:14 p.m. The exact time Lena Brooks was reported dead. Claire had seen many cases, but none like this. The man everyone thought was guilty, Lena's husband, Tom, had claimed he wasn't home. And according to his phone data, he really wasn't. But this video changed everything. Because the voice that said, "Please don't do this," wasn't Lena's. It was Tom's. Claire's eyes widened. The victim wasn't begging. The suspect was. And that meant everything they thought they knew about the murder was wrong. Before she could play the rest, the screen flickered. The file was corrupted. Half of it was missing. Her partner, Officer Ryan, looked at her. "What's going on?" Claire whispered. That Ring doorbell didn't just see the killer. It heard the truth. And as the file blinked out completely, they both knew someone had tried to erase it. But who? And why? It all began 4 nights earlier, on a quiet street in Maple Ridge, a small town where nothing ever seemed to happen. The houses looked the same, neat lawns, white fences, friendly smiles. But behind one of those doors, something dark had been building for weeks. Lena and Tom Brooks were known as the perfect couple. He was a local teacher, calm and kind. She ran a small flower shop, loved by everyone in town. They laughed together, hosted neighborhood dinners, and volunteered at the community center. No one saw the cracks forming behind their smiles. Until that night, at 10:20 p.m., neighbors heard a scream. By the time the police arrived, Lena was gone. The living room was a mess, a broken vase, a smashed phone, drops of blood on the carpet, and the front door, wide open. Tom was nowhere to be found. His car wasn't in the driveway. His phone was later found on a hiking trail 2 miles away. Everyone jumped to the same conclusion. Tom killed his wife and ran, except for Detective Claire Monroe. Something about the scene didn't feel right. The blood pattern was strange, like someone had tried to make it look violent. And the broken phone wasn't smashed in anger. It had been placed deliberately on the counter. Still, with no other suspects, the case was labeled domestic homicide. Then, 2 days later, Lena's neighbor, Mrs. Carson, walked into the police station carrying a small black box. "This was on my porch," she said. "My son installed it for me last week, one of those Ring cameras. I think it caught something that night." When Claire saw the footage, she expected another dead end, just rain and silence. But then a shape appeared. A person walked past Mrs. Carson's yard toward the Brooks house. The image was blurry, the face hidden by a hood. Then came a sound, faint but clear. Someone knocking on Lena's door. Then a man's voice. "Lena, it's me." Claire leaned forward. She knew that voice. It was Tom's. But Tom had said he never came home that night. His phone GPS backed him up. It showed him near the hiking trail. Unless someone else had his phone. She paused the video at the frame showing the shadow's arm. There was something on the wrist. A shiny silver watch. Tom's watch. The one Lena had given him for their anniversary. It was too much of a coincidence. Claire turned to Ryan. He said he didn't come home. But he's right there on the porch. Ryan frowned. "So we're back to square one." Claire shook her head slowly. "Not yet. Look at this." She zoomed in on the image. Just behind the shadowed figure, another shape moved, faint, almost invisible in the rain. Someone was standing across the street, watching, and in the reflection of Mrs. Carson's window, she could just make out a second face, a woman's. The next morning, Claire visited the Brooks house again. The police tape fluttered in the wind. Inside, everything was still, except for a faint smell of flowers, mixed with something metallic. Blood. She walked toward the living room, flashlight cutting through the dim light. On the coffee table, she saw something she'd missed before, a smudge of dirt shaped like a footprint. But it was too small to be Tom's. It looked like a woman's shoe. Claire's mind raced. If there was another person there that night, maybe Lena wasn't killed by her husband after all. Maybe someone wanted them both gone. That afternoon, she interviewed Lena's best friend, Tracy Hale. Tracy ran the flower shop with her and was the last person to see Lena alive. She seemed nervous lately, Tracy said, twisting her ring. She said someone had been watching her, calling from blocked numbers. She thought maybe one of Tom's students was obsessed with her. Claire frowned. Did she say who? Tracy shook her head. Just that it was a woman's voice on the phone, whispering things. Threats. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the ring footage, the second face, the missing part of the file. Someone had tampered with it. If she could recover it, she might find out what really happened on that porch. She called the tech lab the next morning. Can you restore a deleted ring file? She asked. Depends on the damage, the technician replied. Send it over. Hours later, he called back. You're not gonna believe this, he said. The file was manually edited. Someone cut out exactly 10 seconds from the middle, the 10 seconds right after the scream. Claire's chest tightened. Can you get it back? Maybe, but whoever did this knew what they were doing. They covered their tracks. That evening, Claire went back to the Brooks house one last time. The rain had started again. She stood on the porch, staring at the ring camera still mounted near the door. It blinked once, then twice, still recording. She reached up and tapped the button. The tiny speaker crackled. Then a voice came through. A man's voice. Detective Monroe, you should have stayed away. She froze. Her eyes darted around the street, but no one was there, just rain and shadows. She stepped off the porch slowly, her hand on her holster. The voice came again, softer this time. You don't know what you're looking for. The ring camera light flickered, then went dark. Claire backed away, her pulse racing. Whoever had tampered with the footage was still watching, still nearby. She got into her car and started the engine. But before she drove off, she noticed something on the passenger seat. A small, wet envelope. Her name was written on it. She opened it carefully. Inside was a photo, a still image from the ring video. It showed Lena's porch and the hooded figure. Only now, the face wasn't hidden. And it wasn't Tom. It was Tracy. Claire's hand shook as thunder rolled overhead. She started the engine, tires splashing against the wet road. She needed to find Tracy, fast, because if the video showed the truth, then Tracy wasn't just the last person to see Lena alive. She was the one who made sure she didn't live to tell the truth. Rain pounded the windshield as Detective Claire Monroe sped down the road. Her headlights cut through the fog like blades of light. The photo from the envelope sat on the passenger seat, the ink beginning to smudge from raindrops that had fallen from her hands. Tracy Hale's face stared back at her from the ring footage, cold, distant, and unmistakable. Claire's thoughts spun faster than the wheels beneath her car. How could Lena's best friend be the killer? Why was Tom's voice on the recording? Nothing made sense. She reached the flower shop where Tracy worked. The lights inside were still on, even though it was past midnight. Claire parked across the street and waited, watching through the rain-soaked glass. Inside, Tracy was standing at a counter, packing boxes of flowers, or pretending to. Her movements were too fast, too nervous. Every few seconds, she glanced toward the window as if she knew someone was watching. Claire took a deep breath and stepped out of the car. Her boots splashed in puddles as she crossed the street and pushed open the door. The little bell above it jingled softly. Tracy froze. Her eyes widened when she saw Claire standing there, water dripping from her coat. "Detective Monroe," she said, forcing a weak smile. "You scared me. What are you doing here so late?" Claire's voice was calm but cold. "You and I need to talk, Tracy, about Lena, and about what really happened that night." Tracy's hand trembled slightly as she set down the box. "I already told you everything I know." Claire stepped closer. "Then why were you outside her house the night she died?" For a second, Tracy's face went blank. "What?" "The Ring doorbell saw you, Tracy," Claire continued, her tone sharp. "You were standing across the street, watching, and after the scream, you went to the door." Tracy shook her head quickly. "That's not true. I was home all night." Claire reached into her coat pocket and pulled out the photo. Then how do you explain this? Trace's eyes flicked to the picture, and for just a moment, her mask slipped. She swallowed hard, her voice breaking. You don't understand. I didn't mean for it to happen. Claire's heart thudded in her chest. So you were there. Tracy backed away slowly, her voice trembling. It was supposed to be simple. I just wanted to talk to her. She was going to ruin everything. Claire took a cautious step forward. Ruin what? Trace's eyes filled with tears, but her voice grew sharper. Lena was having an affair, detective, with someone who shouldn't even exist. Claire blinked, confused. What do you mean? She was seeing one of Tom's students, Tracy said, her words tumbling out now. A girl named Anna Keller, 16 years old. Lena promised she'd stop, but she didn't. Tom found out and wanted to leave her. But if he did, she said she'd destroy him. Tell the school he was the one with Anna. Claire's mind raced. So you tried to protect Tom. Tracy nodded, breathing hard. I thought if I scared her, she'd stay quiet. I went to her house that night, but when I got there, Tom was already inside. They were screaming at each other. I saw it all from the street. He tried to leave, but she blocked the door. I ran over and she stopped, tears spilling down her face. She fell. She hit her head. It was an accident. Claire's voice was steady but cold. Then why did you erase the footage? Trace's lip quivered. Because it looked bad. You couldn't see what really happened. Just me standing over her. I panicked. I thought no one would believe it was an accident. The storm outside grew louder, thunder rumbling like distant anger. Claire's hand hovered near her radio. Where's Tom now? Trace's eyes darted to the back of the shop. He's gone. He called me the next morning. Told me to clean up the house and say nothing. He said he'd make it look like he disappeared so I wouldn't go to jail. Claire's pulse quickened. So you've been helping him hide. Before Tracy could answer, a loud crash echoed from a back room. Both women jumped. Claire drew her gun and motioned for Tracy to stay put. She stepped quietly toward the sound, pushing open the door. The lights flickered, and in the corner, a shadow moved. Tom Brooks, Claire said firmly. Step out where I can see you. A man stepped into the light, drenched in rain, his eyes sunken and wild. It's not what she told you, he said, voice hoarse. She's lying. Tracy gasped. Tom, don't. Claire aimed her weapon steady. Then tell me, Tom, what really happened? Tom raised his hand slowly, shaking. I went home that night to talk to Lena. I wanted to tell her I was leaving. But she wasn't angry. She was scared. She said someone had been threatening her. When I asked who, she just said, Tracy knows. Then Tracy showed up at the door. He looked over at her, eyes full of pain. You said you'd handle it quietly. You said she'd be safe. Tracy shook her head furiously. You're twisting it. You told me she needed to disappear. Claire's voice cut through their shouting. Enough. The Ring camera recorded the truth, and I'll find it. Both of you are going to the station. But before she could move, Tom lunged toward Tracy, grabbing her wrist. They struggled, knocking over a shelf of glass vases. Claire shouted, Stop, but it was too late. Tom slipped on the water and crashed against the counter. A sharp sound followed, a deep, terrible crack. He collapsed to the floor, unmoving. Tracy screamed and fell beside him, shaking his shoulders. Tom, wake up. Claire rushed over, checking for a pulse, but there was none. Tom Brooks was dead. The room went still except for the rain hammering the roof. Tracy stared at Claire, her voice small and broken. He was all I had left. Claire stepped back, radio in hand. But before she could call it in, something caught her eye, a blinking blue light under the counter. She crouched and pulled out a small device wrapped in plastic. It was another camera, a backup ring system. Tracy saw it and went pale. No. Claire held it up. Looks like your friend Tom wanted insurance. This camera recorded everything, every word you both just said. Tracy's face twisted in horror. You don't understand. He set me up. He always did. He. Before she could finish, the device beeped twice, then went dark. The power flickered. Claire looked up, realizing the lights in the store were dying too. The storm had cut the power. The last thing she saw before the room went black was Trace's face, wide-eyed, panicked, and reaching for something behind the counter. Then a single gunshot shattered the silence. The echo rang through the empty flower shop as thunder boomed outside. And when the light from the flashing police cars finally filled the store a few minutes later, only one woman was standing.